The TNS Hyperion sliced through the darkness of deep space, its quantum-enhanced hull absorbing every stray photon. Captain Elena Martinez stood at the helm, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display, showing 3 massive vessels pursuing a small transport ship through the Arcturus sector. The transport's energy signature matched nothing in human databases, but its erratic course and failing shields told a clear story. Prey fleeing predators. Status report, Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her stomach. This would be humanity's first direct intervention in galactic affairs after decades of quiet observation and preparation. Target vessels are Kronax warships, Captain. Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported from the tactical station. Energy readings suggest they're running at full military power. The transport they're chasing appears to be of Meridian origin, peaceful traders we've observed before. Elena nodded. The Kronax had emerged as a growing threat over the past year, systematically raiding and subjugating smaller spacefaring species. Humanity had watched from the shadows, gathering intelligence while building up their forces. Now, it seemed, the waiting was over. Time to intercept, she asked. 3 minutes at current speed, Captain. The Meridian shift shields are at 12%. They won't last much longer. Elena straightened her uniform, a habit from her years at the Academy. Battle stations. Load quantum torpedoes but keep our signature masked. Let's show these bullies what happens when they pick on the wrong sector. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, the product of countless drills and simulations. Humanity might be new to interstellar warfare, but they had prepared extensively for this moment. Captain, Commander David Rodriguez called from the science station. I'm detecting some unusual readings from the Kronax ships. Their weapon signatures don't match our previous observations. Elaborate, Elena ordered, her mind already calculating contingencies. They're using some kind of gravitational weapon, creating localized space-time distortions to tear their targets apart. It's crude but effective. The Meridian ship's structural integrity is failing. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Crude is right. They're using brute force where precision would serve better. Tactical, target their gravitational projectors. Time to show them what Earth's finest can do. The Hyperion's quantum drive hummed silently as they closed the distance. Unlike the bright plasma trails of Kronax engines, human ships moved through space like ghosts, their dark energy propulsion systems leaving no trace. Within range in 30 seconds, Sarah announced. Quantum torpedoes locked on all 3 targets. Elena raised her hand. Hold fire until my mark. Communications, open a channel to the Kronax ships. The main viewscreen flickered to life, revealing the scaled, reptilian features of a Kronax commander. His yellow eyes widened at the sight of an unknown vessel. This is Captain Elena Martinez of the Terran naval ship Hyperion. Stand down your weapons and withdraw, or face the consequences of your actions. The Kronax commander's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was their expression of amusement. Unknown vessel, this is none of your concern. The Meridians violated our trade protocols. Their punishment is our right. I'm making it my concern, Elena replied coldly. Last warning. Withdraw. You dare threaten the Kronax Imperium. Your ship will make a fine addition to our collection of victories. Fire. The space between the ships lit up as the Kronax vessels launched their gravitational weapons. But where they expected to see their unknown opponent torn apart, they found only empty space. Quantum shift complete, Sarah reported with satisfaction. We're now behind them. Elena's voice carried the weight of humanity's first strike in galactic warfare. Return fire. The Hyperion's quantum torpedoes phased into existence mere meters from the Kronax ship's shields, their dark energy warheads ignoring conventional defensive barriers. The explosions were silent in space, but the tactical display told the story. All 3 Kronax vessels lost power simultaneously, their gravitational weapons destroyed with surgical precision. Target their engines, Elena ordered. Let's make sure they understand the message. Another volley of torpedoes left the Kronax fleet dead in space. The Meridian transport, finally free from pursuit, stabilized its course. Channel still open, communications reported. Elena stood, her posture straight and proud. Kronax, Commander, your ships are disabled, but your life support remains intact. Consider this a demonstration of what happens when you prey on peaceful species in this sector. The next time we meet, we won't be so gentle. Render assistance to your disabled vessels if you wish, but the Meridians are under our protection now. She signaled to cut the transmission before the commander could respond. Medical teams, prepare to assist the Meridian vessel. Tactical, maintain weapons lock on the Kronax ships. As her crew carry out their orders, Elena allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had hidden its true capabilities for decades, developing technologies that other species hadn't even theorized. Today, they had finally shown a fraction of their strength. Captain, Sarah called out, we're receiving transmissions from all over the sector. Looks like we've gotten everyone's attention. Elena nodded. Good. Send a message to Fleet Command. Operation Lighthouse is now active. It's time to let the galaxy know that humanity stands ready to protect those who can't protect themselves. The Hyperion's dark hull absorbed the distant starlight as it moved to assist the Meridian vessel, while across the sector, other species began spreading the word. A new power had emerged, one that could challenge even the mighty Kronax. Humanity's age of isolation was over. The Kronax High Command's central chamber buzzed with agitation. Curved displays showed the battle footage from all angles. Their mighty warships disabled with surgical precision by weapons that seemed to ignore their most advanced shields. Supreme Commander Vextar's scales had darkened to a deep crimson, a sign of both rage and fear. Impossible, he hissed, massive claws leaving marks on his command console. No species in known space possesses such technology. Where did they come from? Admiral Kirax, head of military intelligence, stepped forward. We've identified their origin, Supreme Commander. They call themselves humans from a planetary system they named Sol. Our surveillance indicated they were barely achieving rudimentary spaceflight. Clearly, Vextar's tail lashed in agitation. Our surveillance was wrong. The chamber's lighting shifted as a new hologram materialized, a complete scan of the human vessel that had humiliated their fleet. The ship's hull absorbs all standard scanning methods. We can't even determine its full capabilities, but its size suggests it's not their largest vessel. They've been watching us. Another commander spoke up, hiding their true strength while we thought ourselves the dominant power in this sector. The question is, why reveal themselves now? Vextar's inner eyelids flickered as he studied the footage again. The human ship's movements defied conventional space combat doctrine. Where Kronax vessels relied on overwhelming force, this ship had struck like an assassin's blade, precise, efficient, and utterly lethal in its mercy. Prepare the Grand Fleet, he ordered. If these humans think they can challenge the Imperium with a single ship, let's show them the full might off. Supreme Commander, Kirax interrupted, her scales paling. New intelligence just arrived. We're detecting similar energy signatures throughout the sector. Dozens of them, previously hidden. The humans, they're everywhere. Meanwhile, aboard the TNS Hyperion, Captain Martinez was concluding her first diplomatic meeting with the Meridian representatives. The crystalline beings projected shifting colors of gratitude as they shared their knowledge of local space. The Kronax have dominated through fear for too long. The Meridian elders' thoughts resonated in the conference room. Many species have suffered under their expansion. But you stopped 3 of their warships without destroying them. No one has ever demonstrated such capability. Elena smiled diplomatically. Humanity believes in proportional response. We could have destroyed those ships, but that would only escalate the violence. Sometimes, the greatest show of strength is in choosing not to use it. Commander Rodriguez entered with a datapad. Captain, Fleet Command sends congratulations. Operation Lighthouse is proceeding as planned. Our other vessels are revealing themselves at strategic points throughout the sector. The Kronax are attempting to gather their forces, but they're discovering our ships have been shadowing their major fleet movements for months. The Meridian Elder's colors shifted to patterns indicating surprise. You've been protecting the sector already. Before today. We needed to understand the situation fully before acting, Elena explained. Humanity learned long ago that power without wisdom is just another form of violence. We watched, we learned, and we prepared. Today wasn't just about saving your ship. It was about showing the Kronax and everyone else that the era of unchecked aggression is over. But why hide your capabilities for so long? The Elder's crystalline form sparkled with curiosity. Elena's expression grew thoughtful. Earth's history is filled with examples of what happens when civilizations clash at different technological levels. We wanted to enter galactic society on our own terms. More importantly, we wanted to understand who would be our friends and who would be our adversaries based on their actions, not their fear or desire for our technology. The tactical display updated, showing Kronax fleets across the sector discovering human vessels emerging from their quantum camouflage. Each ship represented years of careful preparation, crewed by men and women who had trained in secret for this moment. They're running combat simulations, Sarah reported from her station, a hint of amusement in her voice. Their tactical computers can't make sense of our capabilities. They keep trying to find weaknesses based on conventional physics. That's the advantage of thinking differently, Elena replied. While they focused on making their existing weapons bigger and more powerful, we explored entirely new principles of space-time manipulation. While they built larger shields, we developed ways to bypass defensive systems entirely. The Meridian Elder's colors shifted to deep blue tones of realization. You're not just revealing your presence, you're changing the fundamental power structure of this sector of space. We are, Elena confirmed, but not through conquest or domination. We're offering an alternative, protection for those who need it, cooperation for those who desire it, and consequences for those who would prey on others. As if to emphasize her point, the tactical display updated again. Kronax vessels across the sector were standing down, their commanders unwilling to risk confrontation with ships that could disable them at will. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not with a bang of destruction, but with a demonstration of precise, controlled power. Captain, communications called out. We're receiving transmissions from 17 different species in the sector. They're requesting diplomatic contact. Elena shared a knowing look with her crew. Phase 1 had succeeded beyond their expectations. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's true strength lay not just in their advanced technology, but in their capacity to use power wisely. Respond to all of them, she ordered. Let them know that Earth is ready for peaceful dialogue. And send a message to the Kronax High Command as well. Tell them we're willing to discuss a new framework for peace in the sector, one based on mutual respect rather than intimidation. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter as the TNS Hyperion prepared for its next mission. Humanity had hidden in the shadows long enough. Now it was time to help build a better galaxy, through strength tempered by wisdom, and power guided by compassion. 6 hours after humanity's revelation to the galactic community, the Kronax made their fatal mistake. Deep within their territory, a massive fleet of over 300 warships emerged from hyperspace, converging on a single target, a seemingly isolated human vessel patrolling the outer reaches of the Vega sector. They didn't realize they were playing directly into humanity's hands. The TNS Hyperion's quantum communications array lit up with encrypted transmissions. Captain Martinez watched the tactical display with calm focus as the situation unfolded. They've committed the reserves, Commander Rodriguez reported, just as intelligence predicted. The Kronax military doctrine always calls for overwhelming force against unknown threats. Elena nodded. And how many of our ships are actually in position? 42, Captain. All cloaked and waiting. The Kronax think they're striking at an isolated target, but they've just surrounded themselves. The massive Kronax fleet moved with brutal efficiency, their formation designed to prevent any escape. Their supreme commander, Vextar himself, had taken personal command. His voice boomed across all frequencies, a message meant to demonstrate Kronak's dominance to the entire sector. Unknown human vessel, you face the combined might of the Imperium. Surrender now, and your technology will serve a greater purpose. Resist, and be destroyed. You have one orbital cycle to comply. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Let's show them why humans don't respond well to ultimatums. Signal the fleet. Operation Checkmate is now active. Across the vast battlefield, space itself seemed to ripple as 42 human warships phased into visibility, their quantum camouflage dropping in perfect synchronization. The Kronak's fleet found itself caught in a three-dimensional web of human vessels, each positioned at precisely calculated strategic points. They're powering up their gravitational weapons, Sarah reported from Tactical. Energy readings are off the scale. They're trying to combine their fields into a single massive distortion. As expected, Elena replied. Execute Phase 2. The human fleet responded with a maneuver that defied conventional space combat tactics. Instead of retreating from the growing gravitational distortion, they moved toward it, their ship's quantum drives creating a complex interference pattern that transformed the very fabric of spacetime around the battlefield. Gravitic weapon failure across their entire fleet, Sarah announced with professional satisfaction. Their combined attack is being reflected back on their own shields. The Kronak's fleet's formation began to break as their primary weapon system not only failed but threatened to tear their own ships apart. Vextar's voice returned, this time with a note of desperation. What sorcery is this? No species has ever. This isn't sorcery, Supreme Commander, Elena interrupted, her voice carrying across all frequencies. This is what happens when you assume that bigger always means better. While you were building larger weapons, we were understanding the fundamental laws of the universe itself. As if to demonstrate her point, the human fleet executed their next maneuver. Quantum torpedoes launched simultaneously from all 43 ships, but instead of striking the Kronak's vessels directly, they created a complex network of intersecting dark energy fields. The space around the Kronak's fleet began to shimmer with possibilities. Their shields are failing, Rodriguez reported. The quantum field is causing their defense systems to experience multiple timelines simultaneously. They can't maintain coherence. Elena stood from her command chair. All ships, precision strikes on their weapon systems and engines only. Show them the difference between power and control. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The human fleet moved like dancers in a precisely choreographed performance, their smaller ships running circles around the massive Kronak's warships. Each strike was surgical, disabling rather than destroying, demonstrating a level of control that seemed impossible in space combat. Within 20 minutes, the pride of the Kronak's Imperium hung powerless in space, their mighty warships reduced to floating hulks. Not a single ship had been destroyed, not a single life lost. But the message was unmistakable. Signal from Supreme Commander Vextar. Communications announced. He's requesting terms of surrender. Elena's expression remained neutral, but her eyes shone with quiet triumph. Tell him that humanity accepts the Kronak's surrender, but our terms will be discussed in a proper diplomatic forum, with representatives from all species in the sector present. The age of unilateral action is over. As rescue ships moved in to assist the disabled Kronak's vessels, Elena received a private communication from Fleet Command. The message was brief but significant. Phase 3 authorized. Proceed with diplomatic initiative. Captain, Rodriguez called out, his voice thoughtful. The Kronak's quantum cores, they're starting to destabilize. Their engineers don't understand how to safely power down systems affected by our quantum fields. Elena nodded. Signal all ships, begin rescue operations. Let's show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our tactics. It's our ability to see former enemies as future allies. The human fleet moved into position around the stricken Kronak's ships, extending quantum stabilization fields. As the rescue operations began, many Chronax officers would experience their first direct interaction with humans, not as conquerors, but as saviors. In the days that followed, the galaxy would learn a crucial lesson. Humanity had not emerged to replace one dominant power with another, but to fundamentally change how power itself was exercised in the cosmos. The age of empires was ending. The age of cooperation was about to begin. The Grand Council chamber on New Geneva Station hummed with the voices of 24 species, built in secret by humanity over the past decade. The station now served as neutral ground for the first truly open diplomatic summit in the sector's history. Captain Elena Martinez stood at the observation window, watching the combined fleet of former adversaries anchored in space around the station. Quite a sight, isn't it? Fleet Admiral Chen approached quietly, her dress uniform adorned with the newly minted insignia of the United Stellar Defense Force. Chronax and Meridian ships flying joint patrols, sharing technology and tactics. 3 months ago, this would have seemed impossible. They're adapting faster than anyone expected, Elena replied, noting how the once proud Chronax warships had been modified with human quantum stabilizers, their crews learning to value precision over raw power. Though not everyone is happy about the changes. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the station. Lieutenant Sarah Chen's voice came over the comm. Captain, Admiral, we have multiple unauthorized quantum signatures appearing near the outer defense perimeter. The Lena and the Admiral shared a knowing look. They'd been waiting for this, the inevitable response from those who preferred the old order. The Radiant Consortium, Admiral Chen said grimly. They finally decided to make their move. The Radiant Consortium represented the shadowy alliance of arms dealers, mercenary fleets, and corrupt officials who had profited from the constant conflicts between species. The new era of cooperation threatened everything they had built. All ships, battle stations, Elena commanded as she, and the Admiral rushed to the command center. This is not a drill. The command center's quantum display showed the situation in stark detail. 50 ships of various designs had emerged from quantum space, their weapons already charged. Their leader's transmission carried the arrogance of those used to operating with impunity. This is Consortium Commander Lysander. Your experiment in peace has cost us billions in lost revenue. The old ways will be restored, or this station and everyone aboard it will be reduced to atoms. Admiral Chen stepped forward. They're using modified versions of our own quantum technology, probably stolen from our early development phases. Crude, but effective. Elena studied the tactical display, her mind racing. But they don't understand the principles behind it. Look at their quantum field signatures. They're unstable, overlapping in dangerous ways. Captain, Sarah reported urgently, they're launching some kind of quantum-enhanced missiles. Impact in 30 seconds. Lena's eyes narrowed as she spotted something in the enemy's formation. Admiral, permission to demonstrate why understanding technology is more important than simply possessing it. Admiral Chen nodded. Show them what humanity's finest can do, Captain. All ships, execute pattern Delta 7, Elena commanded. Focus quantum fields on coordinates I'm transmitting now, and get me a channel to Commander Lysander. The combined fleet moved with practiced precision, human, Chronax, and Meridian ships working in perfect harmony. As the consortium missiles approached, Elena addressed their attacker. Commander Lysander, I suggest you order your ships to power down immediately. Your stolen quantum technology is creating a cascading resonance effect. In about 10 seconds, she didn't need to finish the sentence. The consortium ships' quantum drives began to flare with uncontrolled energy as their crude attempts at replicating human technology backfired spectacularly. Their missiles, cut off from quantum control, drifted harmlessly into carefully projected containment fields. This is why we didn't release our quantum technology freely to the galaxy, Elena continued, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human scientific development. It's not about keeping secrets. It's about preventing exactly this kind of disaster. The consortium fleet hung helpless in space, their ships trapped in a web of their own malfunctioning quantum fields. As Defense Force vessels moved to secure the disabled ships, Admiral Chen turned to Elena with a thoughtful expression. "You knew they'd try something like this, didn't you? That's why you insisted on those particular modifications to the Kronax ships." Elena nodded. Humanity learned long ago that simply having advanced technology isn't enough. It's understanding its principles, its limitations, and most importantly, its responsible use that matters. The consortium thought they could steal our power without grasping our philosophy. In the hours that followed, as consortium leaders were arrested and their networks of corruption exposed, the true impact of humanity's approach became clear. The galaxy was learning that Earth's greatest contribution wasn't its advanced technology. It was a new way of thinking about power and progress. "Captain," Sarah called out, "we're receiving transmissions from dozens of systems outside our sector. Word of what happened here has spread. They're requesting admission to the Defense Force Alliance." Admiral Chen smiled. "It seems your little demonstration had a bigger audience than we anticipated. The galaxy is changing, Captain Martinez, and humanity is leading that change not through force, but through wisdom." As the station's quantum sensors detected more diplomatic ships arriving from distant sectors, Elena realized they had reached a true breaking point, not of conflict, but of transformation. The old order of power and dominance was giving way to something new, something better. The age of isolation was over. The age of enlightenment had begun. 1 year after humanity's emergence on the galactic stage, the view from Earth's orbital command center told a story of transformation. Ships from 100 different species moved in careful patterns through the Sol system, their crews here to learn not just humanity's advanced technology, but their approach to wielding it. Captain Elena Martinez, newly promoted to fleet commander, stood beside the holographic representation of the Milky Way, where thousands of points of light represented the growing network of cooperation and mutual defense that had replaced the old power structures. The last of the consortium holdouts surrendered this morning, Admiral Chen reported, her hologram shimmering beside Elena. Their leadership finally realized that fighting against the new order was like trying to hold back the tide. Elena nodded, watching a group of Kronax cadets training alongside human officers in the station's quantum mechanics lab. "How are our former adversaries adapting to their new role?" "Better than anyone expected. The Kronax have become our most dedicated partners in maintaining sector security. Turns out, when you show someone a better way to exist, most will choose to embrace it." The station's quantum display shifted, showing the latest breakthrough from the Joint Species Research Initiative. Meridian crystal technology combined with human quantum science have produced advances that neither species could have achieved alone. "Commander," Lieutenant Sarah Chen's voice carried a note of pride, "the first graduating class of the Interstellar Defense Academy is ready for inspection." Elena turned to face the assembled graduates, humans standing alongside former enemies and allies alike, all wearing the same uniform. Each had spent the past year learning not just advanced technology and tactics, but the philosophy that made humanity's approach to power unique. 10 years ago, Elena addressed the graduates. Earth made a choice. We could have emerged into the galactic community with our advanced technology blazing, conquering, and dominating as so many expected. Instead, we chose a harder path, to hide, to watch, to understand, and finally to guide. She walked along the rows of graduates, meeting eyes both human and alien. "What you've learned here isn't just how to operate quantum drives or deploy advanced weapons. You've learned why we develop technology the way we do, why we fight the way we fight, and most importantly, why we choose peace whenever possible." The station's windows darkened momentarily as a massive ship emerged from quantum space. The TNS Unity, humanity's newest vessel. Unlike the warships that had first revealed Earth's presence, Unity was built for exploration and scientific discovery, its quantum cores dedicated to pushing the boundaries of knowledge rather than military power. "The galaxy is entering a new age," Elena continued. The old cycles of dominance and submission, of technological hoarding and destructive competition, are ending. But this isn't humanity's victory alone. Each of you represents what's possible when different species work together, when we combine our strengths and learn from our differences. Admiral Chen's hologram smiled as she added, "The consortium's leaders couldn't understand why we shared our quantum technology so freely with former enemies. They thought we were giving away our advantage. They never grasped that our real advantage was never the technology itself. It was our understanding of how to use it wisely." The graduation ceremony concluded with a display that would have been impossible a year ago. A perfectly synchronized quantum jump by ships of 12 different species, their crews working in harmony to create a stellar light show visible across half the sector. Later, in her private office aboard the station, Alina reviewed reports from across known space. Former conflict zones had become trading hubs. Ancient enemies were now research partners. The galaxy was transforming in ways that even humanity's most optimistic planners hadn't anticipated. A message from the Meridian High Council, Commander, Sarah announced. They're requesting our assistance with their stellar engineering project. Apparently, they believe combining their crystal technology with our quantum understanding might help them save dying stars. Elena smiled. This was humanity's true victory. Not the battles won or the enemies defeated, but the bridges built and the possibilities unleashed. They had emerged from isolation not to conquer the galaxy, but to help it grow beyond the need for conquest. "Send them our acceptance," she ordered, "and prepare the Unity for its first joint mission. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't in what we can do alone, but in what we can achieve together." As the eternal dance of stars continued outside her window, Alina thought about the long journey that had brought them here. Humanity had hidden its light for decades, preparing not just technology and tactics, but wisdom and understanding. Now that light shone across the galaxy not as a weapon or a threat, but as a beacon guiding the way to a better future. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun.